Welcome, welcome, one and all. Please take your seats or stand or float around nebulously, whatever's most comfortable for you. Welcome to the great library of Achten, where we're starting a new creative endeavour for your listening pleasure, the sub-series of sorts I'm tentatively titling Telling Tales from the Year Between, which will feature full readings of stories in their entirety. Whenever we can, we'll have visits from the original authors of the pieces who'll come here to the library to read you their scintillating, sublime, superlative stories and tremendous, tantalising tip-top tales. As for your regularly scheduled episodes of Sounds from the Year Between, with behind-the-scenes discussion and Skullgate Media news, well, I'm told those will continue too, but what do I know? I'm just an Achten librarian. But that's quite enough from me, although I shall be flitting around in the background, accompanying the stories with appropriate soundscapes and such. Our guest for this first marvellous meeting is one Roger Kristian Jones, here to read us his sensational story, Jon Andra's Daughter. I shall ask Roger now to take the stage, or, well, this little platform we've set up over between the Gant ownership manuals and the whole section of erotica written by Gerwin the Wise. Anyway, Roger, please, tell us about your tale.
So, Jon Andra's Daughter was meant to be a sort of framing or overture to the collection of short stories of Achten, and it was such a kind of delightful experience when all the events unfolded in the 2 or 3 days that we kind of did the storytelling part of this collection. And a lot of crazy things happened, and a lot of narratives were spun and resolved themselves before some of us even got back to the table. And it was just amazing, all these crazy events. And so when it came time to imagine what I would contribute, I decided to kind of include some sort of kind of an overture of some of the stuff to come, or a prophecy of a sense that the year is going to be crazy. The year is not going to be what is expected. And that is what this short story is supposed to be for this collection. I hope you enjoy it.
Oh, I am utterly convinced that we will, my friend. Now, am I right in thinking that this is one of the narratives from earlier in that very eventful year of Achten's history? That year we all either remember incredibly well or don't remember at all for various reasons.
This story takes place in the spring in the year in between, and it deals with a community of algae harvesters that make their living at the bottom of the Everfall. And in one particular character, a teenage girl in particular, who is, looking for an omen for a good romantic love, like a lot of teenagers. So that is where the story takes place.
Well, I must say, we are thrilled and delighted to have you here with us, and very pleased too. Now, listeners from worlds over, join with us as Roger recounts the story of one Jon Andra's Daughter. I could tell you to pay attention to what this eponymous daughter's full name must be, and perhaps that's of some importance, but I'm sure you wouldn't believe me even if I told you. Roger, the floor is yours.
Jon Andra's Daughter by Roger Kristian Jones. Cass reached up slowly and grasped the rock outcropping, carefully lifting herself up to the wet, uneven ground. She lay for a moment, allowing the mists of the Everfall to drift down upon her as she listened to the steady crash of water. Sitting up, she scanned the upper Everfall and was reassured that it fell in a gray glory as yet not lit by the dawning sun. She peered down to the bottom of the falls a few hundred feet below, scanning for any boats seeking to scoop up the dewed algae before its quality evaporated. Or perhaps, like her, some soul wished to gaze up and witness the glory of the Everfall as it lit with fantastic solar rainbows. She didn't see any sign of her people, all of whom likely still slept inside their houseboats arrayed below along the lake blanketed with a peculiar purple algae nursed by the evershade of the rock walls. Her tribe of harvesters didn't take a shine to Cass's insistence that the great water shows of light would begin early this year. She hadn't dreamt it. She felt it in her blood. The blessing would begin today. Among other things, this early display of the Everfall's rainbow show would signal a strong augury to a prosperous and stable year ahead. Standing upon the rocky shelf, Cass gazed up to the plateau and watched the water flow freely, falling down before her. She grinned. The climb had invigorated her, not exhausted her. She was ready. Glancing east, she confirmed that the horizon was steadily growing brighter. Soon the sun's blanket of rays would hit the top of the Everfall, and Cass would stand witness, amazed and answered. Young hope rose in her chest as she stared at the curling tumble of water where the plateau's river poured itself over the edge. The answer would be yes. Of course it would. Sparking thoughts of a future infused her as she waited for the sunlight to hit the waterfall. Then, the dawning light kissed the top of the Everfall and the whole world brightened like a molten explosion. Golden stars within water turned into silver light plunging down. Cass gasped. She was right. Colors swam in the tumble of water and air, exploding out like splashes of a god's breath. Violet pulsed through the crescendo of falling water, birthing a blue only spied in the rarest moments in the world of Achten. Green bloomed throughout the spray till a yellow dawned inside it all, and a spiraling orange splashed through the waves of falling wet. Finally, within the tonnage of water, beamed a scarlet like the solid gleam of a volcanic ruby. Cass breathed in her joy and her peace. Her answer was hers. Her true love was true. Her future happiness was gathered. Her mind tumbled to all the scenes of bliss that were sure to follow. As myriads of domestic and personal happiness flooded Cass, something turned at the top of the Everfall. Then it darkened. The whole Everfall, like waking to a nightmare. Cass's heart clenched. Her breath escaped. No. The water turned murky. The darkness instantly doused any remaining jets of red, green, or orange. Dismayed, Cass tried to suck in a breath. She had heard of this happening in years before. The black water that now cascaded to the rocky pools at her feet wasn't the neutral gray of the pre-dawn light. This water was the color of doom. She couldn't pull her eyes away. Thundering shadows inside the water writhed like titans in struggle. Growing up, she heard stories of rare darkenings of Everfall, but this was something far worse, something opposite of the blessed omen she believed this morning to deliver. She cut away thoughts of her vanished bliss. If those were real rocks crashing down from within the falls, she might not survive to regret the loss of her true love. The rumbling increased. With a deafening crack, dark lightning lanced outward in a phantom display of destruction. A massive shard from the dark tower of Everfall tumbled impossibly away in confounding loss and confusion. Cass shook her head. Can anyone else be seeing this? This was more, so much more than her question. This meant... Then the smell hit her nose, and Cass fell to her knees, retching. It was rot, sour, pulsating, and burning. Cass emptied her stomach upon the rocks. She was cursed to see this, but blessed too. Some moments later, the girl from the tribe of algae harvesters finally managed to look up around her to see the Everfall ordinary in the morning light. The roar of the falling water, the sunlight, all was normal, as if she'd dreamed the whole thing. Cass knew better. This terrible display at the Everfall meant something much more than the end of her dreams of true love. It even meant more than a good or awful season for algae harvesters. This meant something to the whole of Achten for the upcoming year. This dark riddle of foul water might still serve as a good thing, if it be held as a warning. She could be the one to deliver the warning, all the way to Achten itself. This was her destiny, not true love. The year ahead would be a year to survive. This could be her year to thrive, to be useful to all the people. Cass didn't even take a last look at the thunderous beauty of the Everfall before she began to climb down to the rest of her life, to her destiny. As her mind wandered over the challenges ahead, cataloging the many adventurous tasks to fulfill, Cass didn't even notice as she stepped on a slimy rock and fell off the side of the cliff.
Thank you very much to Roger Kristian Jones for joining us to read Jon Andra's Daughter, and thank you too to you for listening. Born and raised in Idaho, Roger moved to New York City to become a playwright. He now lives in Brooklyn, working as an English and creative writing teacher while he writes novels, screenplays, and stage plays. He's currently developing his science fiction novel, God of a Pocket Universe. Sounds from the Year-Between is a production of Skullgate Media, the new independent writers collective come indie publisher with dreams of many wonderful things. This podcast is produced by Dee Gagliardi and Chris Durston with some help from Chris Van Dyke. This episode was hosted and edited by Chris Durston. Sounds from the Year-Between is the podcast companion to Tales from the Year-Between, our biannual anthology series where each volume is set in a new, collectively creative world. Go to skullgatemedia.com or yearbetween.com to learn more and to buy our books because they're very good. Or follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram as Skullgate Media. Today's story was Jon Andra's Daughter by Roger Kristian Jones, and that story appears in Achten, Land of Dust and Bone, Volume 1 of Tales from the Year-Between. Take care and stay safe, and we hope you'll return to our strange worlds very soon.